cloud.
I think I'm gonna have to go to, oh,
We're
never mind.
recording now.
Yeah.
And I'll share my screen, share there, and press play. All right. Thanks for joining us today, everyone. Today is Tuesday, October 14th, right? 14th, 13th?
Yeah,
I'm
14.
mixing the days. 2025, depending upon when you're watching this. But today we're continuing on from the last video we went as list to sell, but overcoming obstacles. So we'll jump right into it. So go ahead, Deb, go run with it.
Sometimes when you're dealing with listings and sellers in particular, you're going to run into some obstacles along the way. So this is going to give you a little bit of uh, a look at what some of the obstacles might be and how you can talk to your sellers about them. So the first one that I have here is one of the biggest ones, I feel like,
Mhm.
is it's a diamond in the rough. So the seller thinks that the home is cozy and charming, but in reality it's unkept. You have old appliances, the walls and the floors are stained. It's just not pretty, right? And
Mhm.
being where we live, we have a lot of very old century homes in northeastern Ohio where people have lived in it their whole entire life. So it's not really that it's bad per se, it's just old and people don't, young people especially these days, unless they have an old soul, don't want old. They want the
Right.
most updated modern thing. So a solution could be working with the client to do some updating or at the very least heavy duty cleaning and maintenance. Staging can also help uh, showcase the property in a new light. So if you can do some stuff to help your seller, and we're not telling you to totally overhaul everything and do stuff like that, because unless you're building that into your commission, don't pay the money to do that kind of stuff.
Right.
But some agents will cut the grass and pull the weeds and, tidy things up for elderly agent or elderly clients who can't do it. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I do 100%.
Yeah.
And one thing is, I think, well, I don't think, I know, is that this is something that a lot of listing agents, especially agents that have been in the business less than 10 years, have really not had a major problem with because there's been such a limited inventory, so houses are selling. But
Yeah.
someday when you're listing a house just thrown out, 4 bedroom, 2.5 bath colonial, and there's 20 other houses like it in the neighborhood or city for sale, and the average market time is 90 to 120 days, and you really have to put your best foot forward. So a lot of agents been we really didn't have to push sellers too much because you're like, wow, this is going to sell in a day, no matter if you clean or not clean. But
Yeah.
usually, when you have competition, other house on the market like it, you have to make sure this one's better or looks better or better condition or at least cleaner than the next house, or you're just going to keep on waiting and waiting and waiting and not get top dollar. So that's it. I think we've gotten a little, the skill set of explaining this and helping sellers do some things has been lax over the last several years or more because of lack of inventory. So we didn't need to on that.
Yeah, that's true. And that's
Hmm.
kind of why I'm bringing all this stuff up now, is
Hmm.
because we are getting into that. So we want to make sure that we're prepared when we're talking to our sellers. The home is the next obstacle, is the home is too dark. So maybe they have heavy drapes over the windows, or they have heavy blinds, or they just don't have a lot of lighting in their
Hmm.
house and stuff. Um, Maybe they want to encourage the seller to update soft light bulbs with day bulbs. I know this
Hmm.
is something that I just did in the house that I just bought, because everything was all the soft yellow.
Right.
Like I
Yellow.
felt like I
Yep,
was going through a
exactly.
tunnel, right?
Right.
I changed the light bulbs out and oh my God, I got a nice, beautiful, airy, like even the whole persona of my living room took on a different look when I changed
Right.
out the light bulb. So you never know what a light bulb is going to do to change things out for you a little bit. But remove those heavy drapes, or at least get them open when you are showing the home. Clear branches away from windows if there's like they're covering the
Yeah,
windows and stuff like that, because that's also going to be something that they're going to be looking at when they're looking at the houses and stuff too. So
exactly.
the home inspection can bring up major red flags. This is another obstacle that happens all the time. You do need to work with the seller to get some items fixed before the listing. So minor things that they could do, that's always a great thing. Let the seller know that the buyer could ask for things to be fixed during the transaction time if there's some major things. But when you're walking through, if you see like, oh, there's a loose doorknob there, either
Mhm.
fix it if they can't do it or tell them to fix it, right? If they have coverings off of their electrical sockets, they're $1.50 at Home Depot, get those covers put back on there and stuff so that they aren't called out. Some of those are just real easy major fix or not major fixes. Major red flags would be roofing. You might want to mention that to your seller when you're going through, your roofing is pretty old, that might pop up. That hot water tank downstairs has got a little leak on it. There's water on the floor next to the hot water tank. Just point these things out when you're going with your seller, just so they're not blindsided when they get to the inspection report. Do you agree with that?
Exactly. If I can, there's lots of home inspectors that will come. Some of them have what pre-listing inspections or pre-inspections, or will come out for a much smaller fee and give you like a bullet point checklist of things that you should be looking out for, where it's not an official inspection report, but they'll come out and do, just give you the tips of what you should be upkeeping on. So if I, if that's one advice I give to any seller is to, hey, let's get an inspector out here because you might as well find out now what the inspection was, because a lot of times, most of the time, we wait for an inspection from the buyer and we're like, wow, we didn't know that. We didn't know that. We didn't know that. What happens if you did that before that? And you would know that that was going to come up, and it makes that list look a lot shorter.
Yeah.
It's like all the little outlets and the GFIs and the light bulbs and the grading outside and the leaves and some paint and all, there's a whole little kind of checklist a seller could get off the list that helps market their, make their house look better. And again, especially if if there's some competition out there, you want to be, let me have this one look a lot better than the next house they're going to look at. So
Yeah, for sure.
next.
Next obstacle could be the seller self-sabotage. Sentimental connection to the home is really where I was going with that one. Uh,
Mhm.
because sometimes the seller does sabotage their own thing, but I'm really talking about how they just can't let go, right? So, um,
Mhm.
knowing what your seller's motivation is going to help you with this one right off the bat. If they're selling because their spouse died and they can't afford the house by themselves or whatever, you're going to you got to be empathetic to that person, right? Because they lived there their whole life and now they have to pack everything up and go away, and it's very, very sad to a lot of people to do that. Or maybe their parents died or their grandparents died and there's a lot of feelings there. So you can list the pros and cons for them on selling the house or staying with the house. Watch for nonverbal cues, because maybe they're going to say something to you, but their body language says something totally different.
Right.
Acknowledge their feelings and let them know that they're now going to let a new family enjoy the home and make new memories like you did with your family in the past. So it's just those simple little things that will go a long way with that seller.
Exactly. Sometimes we turn into psychologists or psychiatrists
Yeah,
more than agents when we have to help them get past this. And that's part of our value. We help out. So,
yeah. Bartenders and real estate agents, I feel, are
yeah,
two of the biggest therapists out there in the world, and I've been both. So,
right. Exactly.
Next obstacle is title issues. So mortgages are sold multiple times sometimes, and that can create a problem because you can't find the clear path. Or maybe they had encroachments before, or maybe they had dead people on their title and stuff like that. So have the seller work with a reputable title company to fix issues. If they know of things that might pop up during your listing period, see if you can get them fixed now. It's very important when you're talking to your seller and you're going over your listing agreement to find out if they have any liens or bankruptcies or divorces or deaths or anything that could possibly delay your closing. You want the title
Right.
company to work on it right away.
Yeah, you never it's just always ask questions that might be out of the ordinary. Like example, we just had an agent. I don't know if she talked to you or didn't talk to me, but wasn't bad situation. But the husband passed and the wife didn't realize that they had a reverse mortgage. And I'm not going to go into intricacies because I'm not an expert on reverse mortgages, but it's a lot different than paying off just a regular mortgage. And she thought she was going to get this much money out and wasn't that much. There's a lot less, and there's a lot of things, hoops they had to jump through. So there's certain things, they're out of the ordinary, like just like someone passes or if they have encroachments or they can't really, I'm not too sure where my property line is. We've had that, probably at least once a month I get a call from someone like, hey, there's their driveway is 6 inches over on the other side of the house. Things like that. So always just check if it's out of the ordinary when it is a title issue or an encroachment or something like that. You can always, when you take the listing, check that out with the title company. So again, so you don't have to wait till like a week before closing and you have to, then all this comes out and you have to figure that out. So,
Yeah. Yep. Another obstacle would be uninspired marketing. The home is sitting and not getting much interest. So, one of the good things is that you have a lot of marketing available to you being at Homestar. You just have to use some of it. But your marketing, as far as things that are automated for you, it is going to go out to a ton of different websites. But if it's not, if your pictures are not good, then it's not going to be it doesn't matter where it's at. It's just not going
mhm.
to look right. Right. So
Exactly.
the phones that we have these days do take really good pictures, and you can make sure that you're doing that. One of the things as an agent, if you're going to take your own pictures though, make sure you're doing everything horizontally and not vertically. If you
Mm.
have your phone vertically like this, you're putting boxes on either side of your photo, right? And that's why they get all shrunk up and they look weird. Always have it horizontally, even if you have to step back or go up on your picture like that when you're taking them. That's going to help a lot too. And then also utilize the things that are in your Moxie Impress, your marketing kits that created for you. They make those digital social media posts. All you got to do is send them out. They're
Right.
already made
Exactly.
for you. Use your mailers. They make flyers. They make postcards. They make all of that stuff. So you don't have to be the creative genius. It's already made. You just have to use it. And that's in your Moxie Impress. Okay.
Exactly.
And then maybe you want to stage the property if you feel like it's not going to sell the way that it looks and stuff. So
What is virtual staging? You know,
true. There is
and I,
virtual
I
staging.
And I would suggest you put both pictures in, the one without the picture so they could see without and one with. So it's always a suggestion. So they could see that. And also it's a little, I know there's a debate, like, do you have to or not have to? But I always say, just you put notes that these properties are virtually staged. So
Yeah, it's definitely that, because they're going to notice when they go.
yeah,
They're going to be like, this does not say this. And one thing I want to caveat to that, the staging part, don't hide cracks. Don't
right.
change the color of the walls. Don't do any of that stuff. That's where agents get into trouble because it looks like you're hiding a deficiency. Okay,
Exactly.
so
Yep. I
just
agree.
use the same exact as everything. Just you can put different bed in there or a different chair in there or things like that. Okay.
Right. You got it. And oh, I would always say I hate that for some reason. I always hate some agents, even some very successful agents use like the elongated, like fisheye that you can't tell how big they're like it makes a room look bigger. I'm like, no, just to me, it gives me a headache.
It distorts it.
It just
Yeah,
distorts it. I'm like, I can't, it's like looks like a hallway and it's a living room, you know.
that's a very good call. Don't use those.
Right. They're gonna see the dimensions. It says 12 by 10. So, all right, go ahead.
That's a perfect one because I know we're laughing about it, but I mean, it's true. You,
Right.
you can tell the diff, okay?
Mhm.
Another obstacle would be market conditions. So if the interest rates are really high, if we have high inventory, uh, everything or low inventory, everything creates a different kind of demand or shift to the market. So you have to be watching all of that stuff. Um, there are seasonal trends, which we're getting into right now. You know, we're getting into the season where it's going to be holidays in the next few weeks, and they go on all the way until the first of the year. So if you have a seller who isn't afraid of those things and doesn't mind having people come through during the holiday season and stuff like that, great. But you might find a seller who is very active in their religion or what have you, and they don't want people coming through their house at all different times. So you have to keep that in mind too when you are talking to the seller and when they want to be listing and stuff. Now, you might find a seller who wants to list right now, and maybe you're thinking to yourself, well, maybe I'll put it on the market for a little while, see if there's any action. But then if not, then I'll relist it in the spring. That's also an option if the seller can do that kind of thing. So you just have to talk to them about the different things and figure out what's going to fit for them better, right?
Exactly. Exactly. All right.
A showing and accessibility. Uh, this one, there's. Uh,
Oh,
I don't want to
the
sound
first,
like a mom here, so
all right, I'll just jump in. Basically, you got to make people have limited time. So it's if sometimes sellers are like, well, this day, that day, I want 48 hours notice. I don't want any showings between here and there. I go, it's if you want, you have to have the maximum amount of accessibility to people because some people might. Hey, I could totally meet if it's like 7 in the morning, but you got to work with them to keep it accessible because a buyer might not be available on certain days. I mean, it's just not everybody. I mean, not to talk like I'm old, really old, but 30 years ago when I got in the business, everybody worked, most people worked a 9 to 5 job, and showings were always between five and whatever. And now people, have more things going on. They work later, work different hours, work different days. They have kids and kids things. So, they might have just a sliver of time during the day to come see your house. So do whatever you can to make it as accessible as possible and and as easy as possible. Example, I always tell agents like with showings, well, my seller might not this, and my seller might not that, and all of this. I say, well, I say give a 24-hour notice to show, but just go and show. Don't get it when someone books it, makes it easy for them to book. When if they have to hear back from you and the seller for an appointment, you might have lost them to three other listings that they're going to see. Now when you call them an hour or two later, okay, now my seller's away. I'm like, we're already booked our time up. You just lost the showing. Just go and show 24-hour notice. Call your seller as soon as you get that notification. And if it can't make it, then call the buyer's agent. I'm so sorry, there's something going on. Move it around manually. So that's kind of what my opinion is. I mean, it's agents do what they think is best for their seller, but you got to make it as easy to make the appointment with the go and show with the button, showing
yeah,
service button and not calling the agent, waiting for them to call back to call the seller back. And you got to have your seller ready. You have the house ready at almost all times. So if someone wants to get in there in 2 hours and they're at work and everything's fine, they're like, oh, I don't have to go home and clean, stuff like that. I think that's
yeah.
the road we're
Thank
going
you,
on.
Dad, because I didn't want to
Right,
sound like the mom on that one. But
right.
seriously, we have to let the people in. If it's active on the MLS, that's got to be active to show. There are a lot of times when I see No showings until an accepted offer. I'm
Like,
sorry, you guys, and I know that there's a lot of people that work with investors, but I do not feel that's appropriate.
yeah,
If
that's
you're asking someone to put their money in before they even see something,
exactly. Again, I just say that's a last resort.
yes, yeah,
That's when you have tenants and you know you're going to have problems.
yeah.
But explain that to the buyer's agent. Listen, we have tenants in there. I know it's going to take time to if I'm going to burn them out because you get tenants that burn out. All of a sudden, you got a hot investment property and people are coming in every day, all different types, and sometimes tenants get burnt out. Like, oh my God, there's people in and out, in and out. And then they sometimes revolt against you as an owner, like, I'm not showing it I'm not going to open my door, because it's really inconvenient. So that's a last resort. But explain that to the buyer's agent. I'm so sorry that we have this condition, but we have tenants in there and they have little kids or they have dogs and they have to make sure they're there. And sometimes they work third shift. A reason why you do things like that. Just not, there's no because we said so kind of.
Well, and I also feel like if you do have a situation like that, that talk to that landlord so they can talk to the tenants and schedule open houses so that people can get in. Okay, so tenant, you're going to be out for these 4 hours on Saturday so people can come through the house. I mean, there's ways to get around this without flat out telling somebody you have to give me an offer before you can see it.
Yes, right.
Okay.
Exactly. You could have showings at certain days of the week, certain times, like an open houses. You don't have to have but there's reason behind it. So people understand when you give them a reason behind that. So
Yeah.
next.
Okay, so one of the things that I wanted to share with you guys is the Preferred Client Club on Century 21 site. If you're not with Homestar, this is something new. Maybe you want to come here. It's not new for us, but they're changing the way the Preferred Client Club is being done. So it's all going to be done through Express Stocks now, and you will be able to actually see how much each one of the things cost, which I thought was really cool. That you can add and change things if you want to. So you will go into Express Docs to set up your preferred client club now instead of going to the tab that says preferred client club. And uh, you can put in, and now honestly I don't feel like it's just for your people that you sold houses to, because now that you can go in there and do this, I feel like you could do this for anybody now.
Right.
They don't have to be just someone that you closed with, so it
It's
is
just
pretty
such
cool.
it's just such a smart move. And I promise all of our agents we're going to be pushing a little bit more and talking about it when they have sales, because
Yeah,
when you have money, you're like,
yeah.
hey, you're just getting a commission check. It's coming up. And why don't you invest X amount and then keep in connection with your clients for many years and not have to do a thing and know when, and these are follow-up calls. You know when these things go out. Hey, did you get the magazine in June? Call them in July. Just want to make sure you got it. This is another thing. You get the annual calendar, different things. It's just ways, so when agents are like, I don't know what to talk to my clients about after, to follow up with them. Well, if they're on here, you have 5 different times you could call them a year to see if they got your postcard or your flyer or your whatever. So it's
Yeah,
such a
and
smart
it's not
thing.
even $20 a year. It's
Right,
less than that. You know,
right.
the price went up slightly, but not that much. I mean, for the last 10 years, it's been 28 bucks for 2 years or $58 for 7 years of touches. And it's only a little bit more than that. So it might cost you $60 instead of $58. What's another $2? It's doing it for you.
Exactly. All right. What else here? Next. Oh,
Next, we have another thing. So also, in case you don't know or you forgot, the Century 21 also has your social drop calendar, and you can find it down there in 21 Online in the Marketing Hub if you're looking for that calendar. And that calendar not only gives you the graphics to post. It tells you where to post it and how to post it and what you want to put in for your copy, right? So
Right.
this little cutie caught my eye. I thought that
Of
was
course.
adorable. And this is what you could actually put in your post if you wanted to, ready to feel that kind of joy yourself, whether you're buying or selling or just exploring options. Let's talk about your next home. DM me today. It's telling you what to put in the post. And you can find that whole entire calendar every single month down there in your marketing hub on 21online.com.
Nice, nice. All right.
Our continuing ed
Crazy.
tomorrow, we got Mike with core ethics. And those of you who were special enough to get the invitation are going downtown. And we're going to see Tom Ferry tomorrow. So that's
Yes.
going to be exciting. And I heard he's going to actually make an appearance. So
Yes, he'll be there. That's
how exciting
awesome.
is that? I'm excited to meet
Yep.
him in person. November
Oh,
6th, we
sorry, I jumped
have Ash.
ahead. There you
his
go.
his first Thursday of the month training is going to be major appraisal changes that are coming up in 2026. October, oops,
Yep.
that's already gone.
It's already gone. I know because we that was my fault because I had a duplicate last one. So that
I
was
forgot to change it on
that's
here.
all right.
December 4th is going to be real estate agent safety. That's a good one. And then December 4th, also, Mike is going to do gold mine to retirement and exit strategies. So there's a few year end continuing eds. Of course, we've got the holidays coming in there, so there's not going to be that much more for continuing education by the end of the year. But you can always get your continuing education from Hondros, the Training Cove, McKissock, all of those different places if you need to get some last minuters in there.
All right. I'll stop sharing. There we go. And so I'm gonna stop this in a minute, but Deb, stay on because I'm gonna go over some grid ideas for the next one we
Okay,
do.
sounds
But
good.
thanks for joining us today, everyone. And remember, reach out to Deb or myself. Talk to Deb, talk the number two Deb.net or talk to Tony.net. Get on our calendar. And thanks for joining. Have
Bye
a great
bye.
day. Bye-bye.